Hello, this is Nancy Jutton, and I am the leader of the Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp. And today I'm very lucky and fortunate to have one of my favorite clients from the Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp join us to share a little bit about his experience in the program. And I'm so happy to introduce you to Christopher Hodges. Christopher Hodges, how are you today?
I am doing well, Nancy, and whoever is watching this particular recording, I wish I could see their faces as well. I'm doing great. Thank you.
So before we get started, who are you? Who do you serve? What kind of book do you have brewing? And what are you trying to do in this business that you are creating?
See if I can concisely answer that. I am historically, I have been a GE executive, a management consulting partner, done a whole bunch of stuff on reengineering, transformation, cultural change, and leadership. And about a year ago, I left that full-time to write my second book, which is called Noble Automation Now, which if I point over my shoulder, there it is, right? And I knew writing that book that in order for me to reach the executives, the HR leaders that I need to reach to really help them introduce these automation tools in the company, but not have their best people leave, I really needed to figure out how to position what I was saying, how to communicate the message of what I was saying. And so that's where you and I came into contact, is because I knew I had a need. And in order for me to serve those, and I say serve, but they're also my clients. In order to get the clients that I needed to refine a lot of my messaging.
And how did that go for you?
Well, it's it. You can say, did anything happen? As it just so happens, it went incredibly well. But what I think the ironic part is how I didn't realize how big the gap was. You think you talk in your head, well, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but you give yourself a whole bunch of waivers for not being clear and not being precise when you're just talking to yourself. So from the very beginning of this, I realized how unclear my messaging was, and how, while I had the best intentions in the world, I wasn't communicating it very clearly. So what it culminated in was a really big speech I just did in Florida, which, as you know, I prepared immensely for, but not just giving the speech. Getting the speech required clear messaging and clear structure around what I was doing and why I was doing it, both in writing and orally when I spoke to the conference coordinators. So, that all paid off to make that happen, which then turned into 2 more engagements after that, which is fantastic. So, but yeah, what it really did is it allowed me to be clear about what I was doing, what value I offered to the clients, not say the things that didn't make sense or took me off track. And clearly the clients are seeing that. And so it's working.
And, it was fun for me to watch you prepare for that big, huge speech, because you were polishing your book and getting your book done and doing all the things behind the scenes that so many authors do. And I remember my velvet boot coming for you and saying, well, Chris, when are you going to start speaking up? When are you going to start speaking up? And it was like one of those tonight's the night kind of moments that you were having, where you were going to finally take the stage and all the preparation was going to meet the opportunity. And I remember thinking I had a note on my calendar the day that you were supposed to give that talk. And I thought, ooh, I got to give him a call and say, hey, wishing you every good wish today, and
well, I got to say that was, now, granted, there is a woman in my life who's more important, and that's my wife, who was incredibly supportive, but you were incredibly supportive on that event. And this is not my first rodeo at a speech. And I think, like many of the people who you work with, they've been in companies, they've done whatever they've done. I've given many, many speeches in many different countries and environments, but they're all under the guise of a big company or a big this or a big that. This is the first Christopher Hodges out over the edge of the diving board, without a banner. So if they don't listen to you, it's you. It's not the logo.
So did you sort of discover that you're just as cool of a kid in this new role as you were when you had a big banner behind your name?
Well, I know that sounds crazy, but I felt much better about it, because I felt like if I could captivate an audience, because it wasn't filled with people who my company was paying to be there or something, then that means, you've earned it. You've earned their attention, and then you've given them something. You've transferred some information and some knowledge and something that'll help them do whatever they're trying to do best. So yeah, it went well, but
so here's another follow-up question.
Okay.
One of the things that I teach and train in the program is how important it is to make the most of what we call the green room chat, which is connecting with the host or the organizers before the event, showing up as a brilliant you wherever you go. And with podcast guesting, most of the time that's done virtually. But in your particular case, you were actually boots on the ground at a fancy pants conference center where you were rubbing elbows and chatting with people before your talk, after your talk. And wasn't there like some interesting connections that you made just by practicing that?
Well, I mean, thank God we all get to go back to being face to face in some of these cases as this, this virus starts to fade away, hopefully in the spring. I cannot tell you how exciting it was just to be around all those people, but many people who go to trade shows or conferences as employees of big companies, somebody else is paying the bills, someone paid the hotel, they go and they have drinks and they go to a few things, and this is not what you do when you're the person who's going to go up and speak and you're looking for clients. Every night I was exhausted, as you should be, from talking to all those people. It was fantastic. And some follow-on, very legitimate, well-earned relationships turned into some business opportunities. So pretty exciting.
And that is what I love to hear. So I know that you have likely invested in your success with other group programs, other private programs. You've just completed the 12 weeks with the Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp. What would you say was special, different, preferred, uncommon about this particular group?
There's two things, and I think, and of course I'm talking to you, but what you are able to bring to the table as the facilitator or the ringleader of these sessions, the content, the suggestions, the structure, the enthusiasm, frankly, which is incredibly high. And that, I mean, I've been to some other events where the content is almost always good, or they would probably fail and go out of business. But the combination of the enthusiasm, the content, and the structure, and you're very nimble about the way, what does the individual person need, which takes me to the second part. So one of the other major payoffs of working with you on the Broadcast Yourself Bootcamp was the other people who show up. And that first day, you're like the 8 or 10 or 12 or however many people are on the program, call it 10 people on the program who are doing this. And you're all like the new kids in school, and nobody knows each other. But, before long, everyone realizes, hey, the more we share, the more we talk about this stuff, the more we screw up publicly and let other people go, oh, that didn't go so well, or that was great, fantastic. That's how you learn, right? So I wouldn't want to do this privately, one-on-one. I think I wouldn't do this same structure one-on-one. One-on-one is I have a specific thing, help me through this specific thing, coach me as an executive coach or a marketing coach or a publicist. But in the topics that you're covering, work the best with a number of people, and they also work the best stretched out over multiple weeks. If you did it all in 3 days, right, you'd be like, oh, okay, I'm done. But you wouldn't have had the chance in between the weeks to say, well, how am I going to deal with that? So two things: content and the people you bring to the table.
Very good. Now, what are your plans going forward as far as speaking up more and delivering your message to more people?
Well, of course, the podcasting is a key piece of this, right? What are the right strategic podcasts? Podcasts for each person, you need to decide when those make the most sense. And that, I think, is very personal to where if someone's writing a book, or if they've already got something going on, a practice or whatever. So finding the right podcast continues to be a focus of what I'm doing. And then finding the right venues to speak, because I really want to do this as much as I can face to face. But in order to do all of those, whether it's podcast, speeches, consulting, in any of these things that you're doing, you need to have some solid deliverables, the biography and different, the bio in the different formats, the key takeaway punch points that you need to say that you're trying to say. And very few people can come up with those without a little bit of coaching. They don't even know what format they need to be in. At least I didn't know what format they need to be in. So I'm taking all of those bits and pieces and approaching all the different directions that I'm going. And that's how I'm handling it.
Well, and I'm just going to encourage you to make it a steady habit of 2 gigs a week, 2 gigs a month, 2 gigs a week, whatever you're going to decide. But the more you practice, the more you bring your presence to the stage, live or virtual, the more people will be drawn to your message, and the more people will want to do business with you, because the great resignation is not going away. Artificial intelligence is a way for people to be able to do more of the high level interesting work and for the drudgery work to be set aside.
You sound like you've been reading my book.
Well, I do like to see here and celebrate the clients that invest wisely to do business with me. So if there was something you could say to someone who was sitting on the fence and trying to decide, should I invest in the Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp or should I continue to sit on the fence? What would you say to someone who's making that decision?
First thing I would say is write down what you think you actually need, right? Do you even know what you need? You know what kind of messaging you need to put together and how to describe yourself and where you're going to put it and take it. And maybe somebody knows all that stuff and they've done all that kind of thing, right? But anyway, write down the stuff that you think you need and then ask yourself, how much time is it going to take for you to learn to do those individual pieces? And is that where you want to spend your money? Learning and your time. You spend your time learning all those individual pieces. And then say, well, what would I learn if I didn't do this all myself? What if I actually had some other people stumbling through it with me and a really experienced person to help me go through it? What's that worth to me? That's what I think. And frankly, the fee I paid for the session I did with you was well worth it. I mean, it's absolutely, I haven't done some hourly breakdown. It would be irrelevant because it's not, the value is grossly in excess of whatever the hourly breakdown would be.
Well, that's beautiful.
I'm doing some high level math here. Yeah, I mean, that's not even relevant. So I think the real question is, do you really want to do what you're talking about doing? Do you really want to get your messaging straight and go out there and make an impact in the world with what you think you're valuable by doing? If you're going to do that and you don't want to wait 6 years or whatever, do it. Pay somebody who knows what they're doing, a reasonable amount of money, who you think you can trust, and go. That's what I would say. That sounds like a marketing. Hey,
well, I love that. And so I know that you've written a book, Noble Automation Now, and you have a beautiful website now. And I'm guessing you also have a free gift or some intoxicating freebie that people can go and get so they can get a taste of the Christopher Hodges magic. Is that
true? They can do that. And my subject is very specific. So most of the people on your calls probably don't care about implementing intelligent automation in their businesses, or how do they keep their workforce motivated and not quit while they're automating to get more productive. If that's something that's relevant to someone, by all means, go to my website, Noble Automation Now. You can get a chapter, or if you send me an email directly, I'll send you a PDF version of the book.
So that's nobleautomationnow.com.
3 words, nobleautomationnow.com. And you can send me an email at chris@nobleautomationnow.com.
Brilliant. Well, I think you might be surprised how many podcasts and stages there are that are actually very interested in intelligent automation.
There you go. And even some of them can pronounce it.
It's so narrow that it's so easy to find. And I'm just going to challenge you to go and find those shows and do it through the power of creating relationships, which you are so brilliant at.
But yeah,
Christopher Hodges, thank you so much for being so giving of your time and sharing these comments. I hope everyone will go to Noble Automation Now to check out what you've got brewing. And if you know that the Broadcast Your Brilliance Bootcamp is right for you, then I can't wait to have a chance to talk to you about it and get to work with you so that you can have the same kinds of successes that Chris is talking about. Chris, you're a rock star. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nancy. Take care. All the best.
Thank you.